Hi, everyone. Today, I wanted to talk about what I call the heaven or hell exercise. I've seen other coaches do this, but this has been one of my favorite tools for me personally, and it's helped a lot of my clients. And believe it or not, they've used it with their staff and it's helped their staff. So, one of the things I talk a lot about is the Pareto principle, the 80-20. And basically, what the Pareto principle says is that 80% of our results come from 20% of our effort. And it's magical if you go a couple layers deeper into 80-20 and you get really, really down to the essence of what you do. 1% of our effort can yield 50% of our results. Now, a lot of people don't bother doing that. They don't want to look, they don't think about it, they just get busy. And what I hear is, oh, I'm burnt out or I don't have time for that. And there's this badge of honor of busyness. But the reality is, we need to stop, take stock of where we're at, and figure out what we want to do. So the heaven or hell exercise is really, really simple. We share the full details in our cash flow club playbook. You can download it. I'll put a link in the show notes. And basically, the idea is just really simple. We want to sit down, and the first round, as an entrepreneur, as the business owner, you want to sit down and do this by yourself. And the goal ultimately, it's not today, but ultimately, is that you want to be spending time in your heaven and you want to delegate the hell. And the beautiful thing is, one person's heaven is another person's hell, and one person's hell is another person's heaven. So for me personally, I hate dealing with technology. I can deal with it, but I hate it. So it drains me. So for me to offload technology, that is getting rid of my hell. I want to find somebody who sees that as their heaven and loves, loves, loves technology. So that's the goal of this as a owner, manager, leader, entrepreneur. You want to focus on those things. Dan Sullivan calls it your unique ability. This exercise is just a starting point, and it's just good to do this. Personally, I do this once or twice a year. In hindsight, I really should do it more often. So I think I'm going to try to do this at least monthly, because things sneak onto your plate that you end up doing, and you don't stop and realize that, ooh, that's in my health zone. So the goal is, we have 4 quadrants. And quadrant one is really simple. These are the things I wish I had time to do and I'd love to do. So we're not doing them yet, but we want to start. And by the way, if you look at the works of Stephen Covey or Eisenhower, they both have a quadrant, a matrix. And unfortunately, I think on the Covey matrix, this falls under the category of important but not urgent. So these are things we'd love to do. We know it would somehow benefit our business, but we just don't have time. It's maybe finding that new employee or finding a new client. It's something that we'd love to do. So all you do is you sit down and you look at the major areas you're spending your time on in your business, and you plot them according to these quadrants. So the goal is, we want to move as much of your hell to somebody else as possible, so that you can personally focus on your heaven. And we want you to move up from quadrant 2 into quadrant 1, because those things that you're doing or want to do are probably the things that you should be doing to drive your business forward. So think about that 20% effort that will get you 80% of your results, or even better, the 1% effort that'll get you 50% of your results. Now, quadrant 2 is the things that you love to do, but you don't have time, you rush through them because you've got a long list of to-dos. So these are the things that you're currently doing but should do more of. And by the way, I tell people, sometimes there are things that you love to do that you still need to delegate. Sometimes there are things that you hate to do that you still need to do. This is about finding balance. And in my world, we focus on what can we eliminate first, then what can we automate, and once we've automated as much as possible, what can we delegate? Now, on the other side, under the hell, we have quadrant three, and these are things that you are doing that you'd like to stop completely. One thing I hear a lot is people would love to stop doing cold calling. Um, and the difference here, the next one is we're going to delegate. So currently doing but want to stop, that's the stuff we can eliminate. So we're going to look at everything we do in our business and we really want to focus on what drives cash flow and what builds client relationships. Anything that doesn't move the business closer to its vision or goals, we should stop doing. And I've worked with a lot of companies where they do things because that's the way we've always done it. And nobody's ever stopped to say, well, does it matter? I literally worked with one company. There was a whole bunch of work that went into a certain report. And I'm not kidding. There was a person whose job was to hand deliver the report to all of the intended recipients. And she came back to the committee. We were looking at improving things. And she said, literally, the people who are supposed to get the report, they don't use it. They don't know how to use it. They don't know what it is. Literally, they throw it in the recycling in front of her. So we realized that that report clearly had lost its meaning, and it turns out there were other places people were able to access the information in real time on a digital platform. So they didn't need the paper. But it was amazing how much time and energy was spent just generating this monthly report. So think about the things that you could or should stop doing. And then quadrant four is thinking about things that you're currently doing, you as the owner manager, and that you could or should delegate. And one of the things people say, oh, I can't delegate, I do it better. You need to accept that somebody will do it at best 80% as well as you. So give them the tools to get them to 80%, because then instead of doing 100%, you're fixing 20%. So you want to start, and that's the goal is through this delegation, how can you free up time so that you can focus on quadrant one? So that's the first round of the exercise. Second round is optional, but one of the things I do with a lot of my coaching clients is we do this with their employees. And the goal is to find out who's doing the things they love, because people, employees, people in general who are doing things they love aren't going to be, they're going to be happier, they're going to be more adjusted, they're going to enjoy what they do. People who spend all day doing things they hate, guess what? They're probably going to leave soon. Now, the caveat on this, when you do this with employees, you have to be clear that sometimes you're stuck with the things you hate doing, period. We're not promising to make it all go away, but what you can do is if you have a team, you might be able to reallocate projects or tasks so that the people who love to do these things get more of it and the people who hate to do it get less of it. Now, if somebody hates everything, guess what? That's a good chance that you should be finding ways to help them find a new job, because an unhappy employee is toxic and that toxicity spreads. So that's a little bit of the heaven or hell exercise. And once you've finished it, I recommend you do a little bit of soul searching and ask yourself, what insights did I get from this? Are there things that we should stop doing? Are there things we should keep doing? What does that look like? Thank you, and I hope this was useful.